And when you thought it could not get any better, it does. Welcome, everyone, to PM, Partners in Marriage. I'm your co-host, John Godbolt.
And I'm Bertel Godbolt.
And we're so excited to be in part 7 of how to express love to your spouse. And I hope that you are picking up some tips. And we'd love to hear from you, your comments, your suggestions, and maybe even topics that you think we could deal with or talk with you about. If you go to our website, there's always a place for comments or suggestions, or even if you want to have a workshop or even a counseling session. We want to make sure that if you are dating and engaged, that you are aware of some of the pitfalls. We know lots of folk now, not lots of folk, we know several people who finally said, look, I've tried that already twice and I've messed up. And I want to make sure before we start this thing called marriage that we do the right thing.
Exactly. And that's exactly what should happen. Mm-hmm. Because to me, marriage is covenant. Mm-hmm. And that's something that you make before you, each other, and the Lord. Marriage is supposed to be a Christian thing. You know, a lot of people just think it's about the money. I'm marrying so we can have, more money and all that. But
or a fine woman, yeah.
Yeah, because that changes too. Believe me.
Okay.
So definitely.
When we talk about expressing love, how about building trust? Let's take our time today on this segment and talk about building trust in a relationship. Because as we talked about earlier in probably segment 5, we were talking about people checking other folk phones and or won't give them time alone. They were more like texting. You want some time away? Where are you? What you doing? They're following your phone now with these satellite. They know where you are, mm-hmm. and that sort of thing. How do we build trust in a relationship, even if it's been broken with some infidelity or some acts before? What do you think the first thing we need to do to start building trust again?
Well, I was thinking maybe you could show respect. Mm-hmm. When you when you're building trust. You show respect, and I think that's more paramount with men. They know we love them, but you want us to respect you as a man, and it's not that you're lording over me and telling me what to do. But when I show you respect, then I can build trust. And just let me insert this.
Okay.
My mom used to tell us this. She'd say, I'm not going to take anything away from you. If you ask me, can I go to point A?
Correct.
And point A is where you go, then you have my trust. Mm-hmm. But anytime you say you're going there and I find out that's not where you were, then I can't trust you. Mm-hmm. Because first of all, you lied to me, and so now you gotta build that trust back up. And mm-hmm. so a lot of times I've even had this in counseling. Say if it was a female that came to me and was talking to me about something that their husbands did. And one of the things that I had to say was, I can have empathy with you, but I've never had that happen with me, because mm-hmm. you travel out of the country, you preach at different churches, and I know that everybody's motive is not right.
Sure.
But I've always said that I trust you. I might not trust the woman, but I trust you. And so that's the kind of relationship that every marriage needs, to trust each other. Because you really, in the back of your mind, even if you love them, if you don't trust them, it's not, you don't have peace. I can say it like that. You don't have real peace.
So I guess the question should be, how do we rebuild trust if it's been broken because the actions of the person did not match their words? like you said, your mom taught you when you were coming up. So we have situations today where I got caught up into something. I'll give you that, but how many times you get caught up into it?
Right.
Okay, but how do we rebuild trust
I
if you
think
want
probably
to?
one way would be to stay on the radar.
Okay.
Tell you, I'm going to Food Lion. I'm going to the bank. I might go by J.C. Penney, but I should be home by XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what it takes, if there has been a breach of trust, if that's what it takes, then that's what we need to do. Always stay on the radar.
Yeah, that's good, because as I look at the different situations we've seen in relationships, it could be something causes that person. There's an arousal or there's a trigger. If the situation that brought the trauma on was a certain time of night or a certain color that you wore or a certain day of the week, that's the day or that's the color or that's the time you need to home in on. Okay, I'm going to be here. I'm going to stay here, or I'm going to make sure you're with me, or we're going to start rebuilding. The trust has to be rebuilt where it was broken. One of my favorite movies is Shack, and I'll never forget whenever they when God brought him back to the place where he saw his daughter's body, and he said, "Why do we have to come back here?" He said, "Because that's the place where you stopped growing. That's the place where you left. That's the place where you stopped." So many times when we look at someone who has lost trust, to rebuild it is whatever that situation was. I think that's something we need to look at as well and say, "I'm here. Let's start talking about this. Let's be together. Let's pray together." And I'm here to tell you, the more that people start to learn to pray and trust God and build a relationship, the biblically and not out of someone else's truth, we can really start seeing marriages stronger and happy.
And keeping your word. If you said that you are going to do X, Y, Z, keep your promises. And because if you've promised a child, I think I've heard you use this illustration all the time, a lot in your ministry. You said that your dad was a truck driver, and he would always say, "I'm going to bring you guys something home when I come. I'm going to have you, something." And so, of course, your mom would remind him, but he always kept his promise. Even if he had to stop by a store 5 minutes from the house, he still brought you something. So that's something that we have to work on. If we had a breach in our relationship, and you say, "I'm so sorry, I'm not going to do that anymore," and you do it again, that's not trust. I can't trust you. So you gotta be a man or a woman of your word.
We got another minute and a half on this time before this segment is up. I want to home in on more of that about how it looks like what you came out of. A lot of times it's hard for people to move forward and become a trustworthy person because generationally what they saw was distrust. What they saw was infidelity, etc. So how do you, even though you love the person, how do you start to build a relationship away from what you came out of all those years?
That's a hard one. But and like you said, especially if that's what you came out of. But if you sit down and talk to them and say, "You are the most important person in the world to me. And what is it that you would like to see me do to prove to you how much I love you and how much I care for you?" And then they start saying, "Well, you can do this, this, and this." Well, then those are the kind of things that you need to, even if you don't want to. But because you love that person and you want your marriage to work and be happy, then that's what you would do.
Sounds good to me. Perfect timing, my dear, because we don't have any more of it called time. Hey, remember, go to our website at partnersinmarriage.com. Follow us, add to, comment, we want you to be a part of what we're doing. And remember, marriage is not a destination. It is a journey of love.